who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. Just believe. Just believe. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand.
Yes. Yup, people. Manchester Derby weekend, and we said we would give you another preview. We feel that the magnitude of this game, it deserves plenty of conversation. Now, as many of you will know, I did a bit of a preview on the Big Six on Wednesday. They didn't let me get to speak on City a huge amount, unfortunately. It was more so, how can United stop City? And I'm all for it if that's the nature of the show, fair enough. But on this show, on this channel, we're all City, we're all Blues. We want to talk about how City are going to get on tomorrow, what we want to see from City, what decisions we want Pep to make, who we want to play. We have a predicted 11 up on screen beside us right now. As always, get involved down below in the chat, people. Let us know your thoughts on our selections. We're going to have a talk about it. We're going to run through it. We're going to say why we chose these players and why we think they're going to demolish the red side of Manchester tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Now, I am going to the game, so I have to be up early, so this stream probably won't go on all night, but Rebel and Joe here, this is their first preview. It's my third of the week. Some of you have heard some of my thoughts. I'll go into more depth tonight, but it's their first preview. It's their only preview, so they have it all to say. We're going to get their thoughts. We'll get mine. And as always, like I said, people, get down below in the chat and get your thoughts in on the game. What's your score predictions? Who do you want to play? How do you see it going? I can't lie, gentlemen. I can't lie. I'm a little bit nervous, and we'll get into why. But a bit of housekeeping before we get into all the ins and outs of this fixture. As always, if you would, make sure to smash the like button. It's free to do. It helps the channel massively. A like goes a long way. A like goes a long way. And subscribe, of course, if you're new. Share the channel around. We're on the road to 4K right now. I really want to hit that 4K by Christmas. Would be fantastic. So if you could help us in any shape or form on that journey.
Oh, he's gone.
No way.
He's gone.
Oh my god, you're not even on the screen anymore, Rev.
Right, a bit of technical issues.
What happened there? Discord just collapsed on me. We're back now. Yeah?
Uh-oh. Yeah. Fantastic.
So I got some notification be like Discord is under a bonfire, and I was like, what the fuck's going on here? But listen, we're all right,
They
man.
know
We're
what
all right.
weekend it is.
We're getting hacked by those scabby Reds, man. Those United fans are hacking the channel. They don't want us to build up some confidence. I was getting a bit nervous, lads. Today I was in work, and there's a guy who works next to me next door. He's a big City fan. He's on my flight tomorrow over to Manchester, and he came in. He was saying, "Listen, I'm feeling a bit nervous too," and that got me feeling a bit more nervous. And all of a sudden, I'm there going, "Fuck, what if we lose to this bunch tomorrow?" But no, we remember who we are. We remember what kind of players we have, and we remember that if we play at 70% tomorrow, I believe there's a win. But like I said, like, subscribe, share it around, help us on the road to 4K, lads. The pair of you, how are you both feeling? Like I said, it's both of your first preview. It's your only preview for this game. So I want to get all of your thoughts in depth, please.
I'm kind of confident, you know. I will be that bit nervous. I'll be a bit more nervous again when our lineups come out about an hour before kickoff. But I'm actually dead confident. I never am, but now we're looking at we're favourites across the board. Like, nobody is, like, there's a very minimal amount of people giving United a chance, but there's something you have to always realise is their record at the Etihad over the last few years has been fucking brilliant. That's the only thing I'm sat here saying, this could go against us, this could go against us. But, like, you have to realise, even this season, I think we've been the first to say there's been some games where we've not played well and we've still been dug out of a hole. That's what could potentially happen tomorrow. Like, I think would be a step up. I think we're going to have to be a step up because United are a really good team at the minute. On the form they have been a really good team in recent games. We have to still capitalise on the fact that we are better overall and just go with it. Like, you know what I mean? We're at home. We're good enough to go out and beat them. I don't see why we can't. I don't see why we won't, to be honest with you.
I believe if we are not to beat them, it's on our own account. It's our own fault. I don't think Manchester United, regardless of what formation, what setup, what approach Erik ten Hag takes, they're not a better football team. They're not a better football team. The only way they get a result over us tomorrow, whether it's a draw or a win, it's if we don't play to the standard that we need to play at. And I firmly believe that they're not gonna outplay us. Basically, they're not gonna outfootball us. But Joe, how do you feel about this?
I think it's, on paper at least, the closest the derby's been for a couple of years now. They've really improved over the last barring the first two games of the season, they've looked actually quite good, to be fair. I don't know what shape their squad's in. I know there's a few injury murmurs going around and they haven't played a league game for a while now. Their last game was on a Thursday. So those are the levels that we're dealing at the moment. But I'm still relatively confident, to be honest. I don't think that, if we lose, it is genuinely in us. Like, and that's how it's been for the last sort of 5 years sort of thing, where if we lose, it's just us being naive and playing into United's hands, which is just letting them sit there and counter-attack us, which, granted, most teams have that luxury of being able to counter-attack us because we always have the ball, but at the same time, obviously last season was so it was so refreshing that we actually managed to get a result against Man United, and obviously the one at home under Ralph Rangnick was the best we've played in a derby for a long time, and obviously that was probably the last time that Mahrez was good, and we all remember Grealish had a great game that game. So I'm feeling optimistic. We're at home. We should be looking to win all our home games across the season. That's, you want to make your home ground a fortress when you want to win a league title, and Arsenal are there. I hate to go and turn around and call them title contenders because I just didn't believe it, but they've had a couple of tests. They've they've managed to overcome the test of Spurs, which we never seem to be able to overcome. So they've clearly got something about them. So, there's a little bit of pressure there. Obviously, Liverpool drew, so they're already 12 points behind Arsenal. So realistically, with the only unbeaten team left, Spurs lost. So, there's a little bit more on the line. I'm not too arsed about the whole undefeated thing, though. It will probably end at some point. I just think we need to try and claw back at Arsenal a little bit because, we need to capitalise if they do drop a few points.
The thing is, even if we win tomorrow, Arsenal still stay top of the league by a point, and whether we like it or not, Arsenal are title contenders right now. We can't sit here and say, oh, but they'll fall off in February or in March kind of thing, because they don't look like falling off. I mean, one of their biggest issues in recent years, Arsenal, was they might win a couple of games, but then a bit of adversity would come along. They'd lose a game or two and they'd crumble for a while. They wouldn't get back to the level they need to be at. Now they lost to Man United and they bounced straight back and they're winning games again. And they look like they're playing with real unity and they're a team. And Arteta's doing a great job. So we have to consider them right now a title rival. And if we're to drop points tomorrow, we're giving them 4 points on us. And that's not a position that we want to be in, especially with the injuries that are constantly arising. The World Cup's going to come up now. No one knows for any club. I don't just mean City. No one knows what that's going to bring for all of our own personal player, our own club's players, if you like. Like, we don't know who's going to pick up injuries, how that's going to affect the season. I mean, I spoke a bit about our World Cup thoughts and the Southgate thing and England and injuries the other night. But you know, we don't think we'll see John Stones in a City shirt till after Christmas. And what happens if he picks up a long-term injury? And that's basically what I'm saying. We can't afford to drop points. And it's the same for other clubs. I felt for Liverpool today, it was a must-win game. They've dropped points. They've damaged massively their prospects of getting second place, which I think was their big goal. They were kind of like, we know we're not going to challenge for the league. It's going to be City probably, but we want second place and then build and go again next year. But listen, in terms of tomorrow, you said it and you're absolutely spot on, is that on paper, this is probably the most competitive derby that we've seen in a long, long time. I mean, I know United turned us over in the Etihad a couple of times in recent years, but they were shocks. Like when United beat us 2-1 in the Etihad a couple of years ago, if you look at the squads that went up against it, we should have run them off the park. We should have beaten them 4 or 5-0 that night, and it was on our own account we didn't win that game. And these are the kind of fears that creep in. It's if we don't play to our expected standard, and if we're being real, if we're being, you know, constructively critical here, we've played to about 50%, 60% at best this year. Our best performance maybe against Nottingham Forest. We didn't even get into top gear then. It was about 60, 65%. We haven't seen this new look City team, you know, with Haaland up front or Alvarez or Grealish playing consistently and Akanji and even Phillips hasn't even featured. We haven't seen this new look squad play anywhere near 100%. And is that an issue for me right now? No, because I like the idea of possibly reaching that 100% come, you know, March, April, May, when it matters the most and other teams are dealing with other issues and injuries arise. We want to hit our top form then, but you still have to pick up the points now. You still have to win the games, and that's the issue. I think the place to start with the not 100% is on paper we're not 100%, and in the back four, I think the obvious back four to go with is the one we chose. You see on screen right now, people. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on the back four we went with. Cancelo on the left, Diaz and Akanji to the middle, and Walker on the right. Now on paper, you'll look at that back four and go, a fully fit, you know, that combination of back four, you're going, yeah, sound. We're fully grand. You know, we're chilling. Apart from Akanji, who's relatively new to the Premier League, it's his first derby, but you test for him. You'd be comfortable that the other three lads around him could carry him through. But the fact of the matter is, Cancelo for me is a bit of a worry at times in big games defensively. I think he could be class going forward tomorrow, hopefully. But defensively, I would worry for him maybe up against Anthony or someone with a bit of pace on the right-hand side. We don't know how that's going to turn out. Diaz has not been at his very best this season. He looked his best when he had John Stones beside him, but John Stones, as we know, is injured. And Akanji, like I said, is new to this. You can't put huge expectations on him, even though there is a certain standard he needs to hit. And then, of course, Kyle Walker, for me, is essentially playing on one leg. There's no way that guy's fit. He looked poor for England against Germany. He shouldn't have played for England against Germany, but he's going to play for us at right full back tomorrow because we simply don't have any realistic other options or any personalities that you can throw into that position and be confident they'll do a job. So lads, the back four it's my biggest concern. I mean, I'm fairly confident regardless of who they play in the midfield, whether it's Casemiro, McTominay, Eriksen, Fernandes, whatever combination they go with, I would believe that Bernardo, De Bruyne and Rodri will outdo them in midfield. As long as our three in midfield play at 65-70%, we will do them in midfield. My worry is if they get us on the counter and expose us, our back four, you would worry particularly on the flanks. Like I said, Cancelo can be weak defensively and Kyle Walker simply not fit. Joe, it's definitely the concern. The major concern in this team is the back four right now.
It's only a concern because there's a lack of partnership. There's only been a handful of games where Diaz and Akanji have played together, and I don't know. I cannot tell you if that back four has ever played together. Ever. I don't think they have. As all four of them, because I think Walker's been injured when Akanji came in, and yeah, I think it's just the lack of partnership could prove, you know, they just don't know each other, really. They don't know how each other's going to play. I think United, their strength is clearly their left-hand side. Regarding Rashford being fit, I think if he is, that's a huge problem because Walker's carrying an injury or recovering at least from an injury. And Akanji's, obviously, this is his first big test, so they'll try and get down their left, our right-hand side. We know if Rashford plays through the middle, he's going to drift out there. You imagine that Sancho's going to play in that area. You could see Eriksen play sort of left of that too that they have in midfield. So I think that's an area where, look, Ten Hag's not a novice. He's a great coach. Like, say what about his players? He's a great coach. He'll know how to get the best out of what he's got. And I think if he sees that Akanji and Walker are playing together, knowing that Walker's not 100% and Akanji hasn't been tested at this level, then he'll try and have a go at that side, because they'd rather have a go at that side than Cancelo or Ruben Diaz. And with Bernardo Silva covering, practically playing as a false 9 box-to-box defender, whatever role he decides to play, then they're obviously going to try and target our right-hand side. And that, for me, is a little bit of a worry. I think that's probably the weakest point. I have faith in Akanji because I've been speaking about Rashford and, Rashford playing through the middle specifically. Akanji has pace, so that shouldn't be like the most of the concern, being having someone with pace through the middle for United. We should have someone who is capable of dealing with that. But I would much rather have a John Stones or a fully fit Kyle Walker, because we know that they can be dangerous. This is where we've lost derbies in the past, where we've been better on paper, but we've been caught out at the back. We've been caught out on the counter-attack where we haven't got back and they've delivered a sucker punch, and then that's it. How have they scored? We've been the better team. How has this happened? So I think that is still the main danger. I think Ten Hag, again, he's not stupid. He's not going to think he's going to come to the Etihad and get 60% of the ball. Like, he's not an idiot, but I think at the same time, he will try and target what he can, because, why wouldn't you if Walker's playing on half a leg?
I was going, you're absolutely right. I think it's a no-brainer, an absolute no-brainer for Ten Hag to not play Sancho on the left and play Rashford. But then again, I think Saeed kind of touched on it briefly the other night, that he doesn't believe Rashford's fully fit. He just thinks Ten Hag is going to play Rashford because Rashford understands the magnitude of this fixture. He's a Manchester boy. He's going to bring that kind of determination and fight that you need in a derby, regardless of how fit he is. But if Rashford is fit and he's fully fit and firing, and he's got he's feeling fast and sharp, I'd put him on Kyle Walker if I was Ten Hag, because the fact of the matter is Kyle Walker won't be running at 100%. So you would rather a pace merchant running at Kyle Walker than more of a technical player like Sancho, who'll just try to take Walker on one-on-ones and beat him for skill and outsmart him essentially. I'd rather have a direct runner. Do you know who my worst nightmare would be on Kyle Walker tomorrow night? And you can laugh at me all you want, but purely because of his pace. Dan James. If they still had Dan James, I'd be saying fuck, because he'll knock the ball past Kyle Walker. He won't outskill him. He won't beat him in a one-on-one if Kyle Walker squared him up. But Dan James would simply he'd be told to target Kyle Walker and just run past him because he's not fit. I think we will see it tomorrow, and I hope not. But you'll notice that Walker's not fit and sharp. He hadn't trained with City or played with City for a few weeks before the international break, and then he togged out for England against Germany. So what I'm saying is a pace merchant, I think, would be a way they could damage City. But from our perspective, I'd much rather them to play Sancho on the left, because I would be pretty confident in Kyle Walker's ability to stand Sancho up and shepherd him away or get a boot in. It's just those foot races. Even though Walker's best ability or his best asset is his pace, I think when you're not fully fit, you're not going to run at 100%. So that's the worry for me on that right-hand side. And then, of course, if Akanji is to play on the right, I don't know, it'll be Diaz or Akanji. I'd say more likely to be Diaz on the right, Joe. I know you have Akanji on the right, but Akanji I think Akanji's possibly left-footed.
He's not left-footed. I don't know. He's right-footed, and when they've played together, Diaz has been on the left. The only time Diaz isn't on the left is when there's a left footer.
Even on the left. He'd be on the left when he plays with Stones as well.
I'd possibly put Diaz on the right purely for the fact that he'll cover Kyle Walker's space a bit better than Akanji probably will. I don't know. It's definitely the big worry. I'll just see what people are saying, and then Rebel, you can talk about the defense really quick. There's quite a few chats here. As always, people, make sure to hit the like button, get your chats in, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. We appreciate all of you coming in. A good few of the Big Six viewers coming in. I see Curtis O'Hara here. I think he's an Arsenal fan, but he's also a Big Six viewer, and I appreciate you coming in here, Curtis. He says, thank you for Jesus and Zinchenko. Big up you. Can't wait for the Big Six, even though you predicted a Spurs win. Listen, Spurs let me down, man. I expected a lot more from an Antonio Conte side, but listen, big up Arsenal, man. Arsenal were absolutely sensational today, and like I said, they're going to be a real threat. I don't see why Arsenal can't. I don't mean go the distance to win the Premier League, but give us a worry, man. Give us a concern, especially if we drop points in games like tomorrow. There's no reason Arsenal can't capitalise. Anderson, evening fellas, that's how I see the starting 11. Have you seen Haaland's derby coach? Superb. If we win tomorrow and Haaland scores again, we're winning the league. I don't know, man. I know Andrew that Haaland is very hungry to score against United. Can he channel that correctly and use that hunger to actually play well? Or will it turn out to be a situation where he's just too determined and he's trying too hard and things don't work? We've seen that instance from Haaland before where he looks like he really, really wants a goal and he's trying hard and it just gets frustrating for him. So it's up to him to channel that determination in the right way, if you like. Dennis says Akanji and Walker's pace could be vital to stop their counterattacks. That's one of the things with Akanji that's actually going to help us, I would imagine, if he is able to do so tomorrow. It's his pace. I think he's possibly our fastest centre half, Manuel Akanji, from the statistics I've seen. So it'll be interesting to see how Pep decides to use that. Will we play a high line or will we sit deeper? I would imagine we'll play a relatively high line. Curtis says, a big fan of Alvarez too. He seems to hit the ground running and seems to bring but having players like Erling Phil ahead of you must be frustrating for him, but I'm a big fan. Alvarez is a trump card, man. You'll bring him on in a situation where you want to stretch the game if things are a bit tight and you see what he can do. We know he can finish. But listen, Rebel, like I said, the back four is an area that I am a little bit concerned about. I mean, if things go well and things just click tomorrow, it could turn out to be one of those days where you go, you know what, this four actually work really well together. It's an opportunity for them to show that they can work as a back four combination, but it's just those kind of injury worries and the new welcome to the league, if you like, or the first big test for Akanji that makes me kind of go a bit nervy. Not as comfortable as I would be with John Stones.
Yeah, of course you're going to have that thing. You just have your concerns with the right back. Actually, I don't have my concern in personnel with the left back. I think Cancelo playing that left back is perfectly fine. Him starting should be a no-brainer completely. But I don't like the idea, and this can go for the right as well. I don't like the idea of two inverted fullbacks in a game like this when you're gonna have the pitch stretch, when you're gonna have Anthony one side who's a very skillful player, a very skillful technical player, with Sancho on the left, another very good skillful technical player, whilst your fullbacks are sat in the midfield. It's not going to work. It's going to stretch us too much. I don't want that to be the case. I mean, if we're going off, I don't want to say drop Walker because I don't have that dog in me to turn around and say drop Kyle Walker and play Nathan Ake left back. It's just not going to work. But I don't know, man. I have some concerns about the constant tucking in, especially with Cancelo. If he gets caught out on that right hand side, I mean, Anthony could have a field day. But at that same time, looking at when they played Arsenal, when Zinchenko was playing left back, the only time that Anthony ever looked really threatening was the goal. Other than that, he was just trying his weird little fucking flicks, and Zinchenko had him covered. Like a good defensively sound left-footed left back who wasn't cutting in all the time had him covered. So that's why I'd kind of be not on the fence. I'm fine with Cancelo starting, I'm fine with Walker starting, whatever happens. But it's definitely something to be wary of. The rest of the defence, again, Kyle Walker, you said he hasn't talked out for about. How many times has he actually played this season, Kyle Walker?
I don't think he's played for City in about a month, if you're including international break.
Like that's fucking crazy. Like, I mean, we've had Stones at right back. He's definitely out. He wasn't training, but then it's a whole new defense. Like, it's a whole new defense. As in, Akanji's never played with Walker. I don't think Akanji's played with Cancelo. He's played with Diaz. It's just it could get nervy. Like, it could really get nervy. There could be some chemistry issues, that kind of nonsense. We won't know until we see it. We really won't. But it's still a defensively sound enough defense. Like, we've beaten United with worse defenses. Like, we have. Let's be fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we won't really know how to judge this defense and what kind of fitness or what state of fitness that the likes of Walker and I don't know, the rest of them are in, particularly Walker because he's the one coming off the back of an injury, how they are, until we see United come up with their first one or two real attacks. We can kind of form a level of confidence, whether it's high or low, of what we see and how they look and how they're working together. But if what Joe has predicted on the starting 11 is to be correct based off the left-hand side that Diaz has played there whenever he's partnered with Akanji, Diaz has an absolutely colossal job tomorrow if he's to play on the left-hand side of centre-half. We know Cancelo bombs up the pitch and leaves acres of space in behind him, and I think it's fairly predictable that Ten Hag is going to try and exploit us on the flanks with the fitness issues surrounding Kyle Walker, with the fact that Cancelo is an extremely offensive full-back. He's going to tell Anthony, if he's playing on the right, to bomb down that wing, do what you can, exploit that right, that our left-hand side. So Diaz has to cover that space. Diaz has to make sure he's covering that space. He's getting his angles right. He's timing his challenge as well, and doesn't allow them to work their way into central areas and get to the byline or getting crosses. It's going to be a massive task. I would like to think, but you never know with Pep Guardiola that he will tell Kyle Walker just to stay back, don't invert, don't bomb up the pitch, none of that up and down the touchline like we were seeing earlier on in the season. Just stay back and almost essentially form a semi front back three, if you like. Cancelo will obviously have to do defensive duties. You simply have to do that in a derby, and if you're any fullback, you will have to do things defensively. But I would like to think it will be a fairly firm back three of Walker, Akanji and Diaz, who are always in that defensive part of the pitch, because we know, and we've seen so many times, regardless of how good United have been or regardless of what managers they've had, counter-attack was their biggest friend every time they played against us. So we're going to have to be prepared for that. And there will come times where they will put pressure on our midfield and our midfield will lose possession. We can't expect to hold on to possession constantly and then not to put us under pressure. You best believe players like McTominay, who's actually in form right now. I don't rate McTominay as a player, but he's in form right now. He's actually playing quite well. You best believe he's going to get into the faces of Rodri, De Bruyne and Bernardo and whoever's in possession in the middle of the park. So there is going to be times where they catch us off guard and then they're on the break, and it's up to our back four to be solid and react to that and be on time. But like I said, I would have actually preferred a fully fit John Stones over a Kyle Walker in this current condition. And maybe I'm being harsh on Kyle Walker. If Pep picks him, Pep must feel he's fit and he's capable of doing the job. But I would have preferred a fully fit John Stones than a semi-fit Kyle Walker. I mean, the defense is the big concern, people, and it'll be our own fault. Like I said, if they score goals, it'll be from defensive issues, lack of chemistry, lack of understanding, lack of positioning, or that or whatnot. You know, the kind of things I'm talking about, people. Super City, this is the worst United team to ever visit the Etihad. Don't let the red media cloud that, lads. Super City, respectfully, I disagree. I think in the last 2-3 years we've actually seen worse on paper Man United teams come to the Etihad. They have players that can punish. I think players like Christian Eriksen have taken them up to another level. Eriksen is an absolute tremendous footballer. Regardless of the fact that he plays for Man United, he's a tremendous footballer. And if he can get himself into the right pockets of space, turn his man and play someone like Anthony or a pace merchant like Rashford through, it could be trouble. Casemiro, naturally, we haven't seen a huge amount of him, but he has that DNA. He's capable of bringing them to another level too. Varane and Martinez likewise. They are stronger on paper, United, and this is why the point that Joe made earlier on is very valid, that it's the most competitive one on paper in a long time. So we have every right to be a bit anxious about it. And they will come in, United. There is pressure on United to perform, but no one is giving United a real chance of winning. People, even Reds themselves, are saying, we could nick a result, or if this happens, we could get a result, or if this goes our way, we could get a result. But naturally, the expectation is on City. So United can kind of come in with the comfort of being big underdogs. If they do lose, no one's going to go, oh my God, that's appalling for Manchester United. But then again, if they win, everyone's going to go, fucking hell, that's absolutely massive from Erik ten Hag. So it's up to us to keep our composure and not let the occasion get to us. And you'd like to think there's experienced enough players in our squad. Diaz, De Bruyne, Foden and Bernardo, they're all very experienced in these fixtures. So I'd like to think that we can get the job done. But it just, like I said, it's all down to us. If this doesn't go our way tomorrow, it's our own fault, simple as. They're not going to outplay us. Big occasion player though, that's why I ask. I think there's a conversation going on about someone in the chat there, people are talking to each other. This is the strongest United have been in years, says Andrew. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. It's not a world beating United team by any means, but it's definitely quite a bit better than what we've seen of them in recent years. I mean, some of those teams under Ollie and Jose were absolutely appalling on paper. I'm in favour of leaving Walker out entirely, says Kerwin. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of thing with Kyle Walker, because if you take him out and you put Ake on the left and you put someone else on the right, or Cancelo on the right, and things shit hits the fan, people are saying, why didn't we play Kyle Walker? He played against Germany, he's experienced, he's a leader, we should have played him in this situation. And then if you do play him and he fucks up, you're saying, well, why did we play him? He's not fit. So it's a tough one for Pep, but I still think he's going to play. I think Joe's prediction that starting 11 is correct. Eriksen is finished. He won't cope with our midfield. I don't rate Martinez. It's all hype, no substance. I agree with you on the Martinez point. I think Martinez is grossly overhyped. He's played four games and done well for United. They got thumped by Brentford. They got embarrassed by Brighton, and they also got embarrassed by Real Sociedad. This guy has yet to show real consistency and show that he can do well in this league. Few good performances. You're not fooling me, man. Show what you can do against Erling Haaland tomorrow. Pocket Haaland, and I'll apologise live on stream, Martinez. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. I can only see if Haaland's on form and things go his way. I can only see Haaland absolutely bullying Lisandro Martinez. I just don't see the hype. He's yet to prove it to me, and I'm not taking him seriously until he's done that. With Eriksen could cause problems tomorrow. Sancho as well might be up for it again. Sancho will be up for it, you know. You know what I'm saying? Sancho will be up for it. What kind of players are you looking towards, Joe, from Man United that cause you concern? I spoke about the pace of Rashford on the left. That's the one that worries me the most, and maybe Eriksen in those pockets.
I don't think it will be Rashford on the left. I don't think Rashford will play on the left. I think if Rashford plays, it's through the middle, and I think it's for a similar point. He knows that Rashford is not a typical number 9, so he's going to drift. So whichever side United are going over, he's going to overload that side and try and overload a fullback, which is possibly the key thing here. Is Rashford being fit is their main thing. Even if he's 50%, I think Said said, even if he's like 50%, it's still risk him because he knows what it's about and he'd suit the way that United are going to be able to hurt us. And I think that could also create confusion against the back four, our back four. Like we said, that's the main concern here defensively. If there's no typical number 9 that they're having to mark centre halves, we used to do this to teams with the false 9. If there's no typical number 9, then what are they really doing? Do they drop off? Do they try and step up? You know, what do they do? Do they kind of drift and help out the fullback and leave the central areas exposed for someone like Bruno Fernandes to come and take up that space? It's a really, really difficult task, and I think that's why Rashford would be so key, because he wouldn't play out wide, but he would at the same time. He'd drift throughout the game and try and overload, try and get at Kyle Walker and try and help out his wingers, essentially. And I think that's the main danger. But if he's not fit, then I don't know. Said mentioned a false 9. They tried to do that last year. They got battered 4-1. So I don't know whether they'd want to try that one again. And then there's obviously the big, I think it was Curtis O'Hara was going on about Ronaldo. I want Ronaldo to play. He's finished. He's washed. He's done. Yeah. He's done as a footballer. He is finished. I want Ronaldo to play because he makes United worse. He makes the players around him worse. He still has the footballing IQ, because that's something that you never lose. And he still has the technique and he still has some of the ability, but physically, he's not fast anymore. Like, it's not clicking. Whenever he's playing, they're not doing as well. When they lost the last game that they played on Thursday to Real Sociedad, they lost. He played. He did nothing. I know John Costa, resident United fan that we always talk to, says he's always offside because he's just got no pace. So he tries to make a good run instead of outpacing someone. So he's always offside. I want Ronaldo to play. I don't care if it's a big occasion. I watched Portugal against Spain, right, in the international break. He was shit. He was awful. I want Ronaldo to play. It's probably going to come and bite me in the arse now when he comes on and scores, right? But I would rather him start than Rashford. I'd rather Ronaldo start through the middle than Marcus Rashford right now in terms of game plan, because I don't think Ronaldo suits this game.
I also just can't see any other situation than Diaz and Akanji or whichever one of them will make light work of Cristiano Ronaldo. He just doesn't have it anymore, and you're absolutely right. You summed it up there. I don't need to go over it again. I echo everything you say. He's not the man. He's not the man. He won't press high. We know from watching City week in, week out, that the teams that press high against us and take that extra risk of leaving space in behind get more joy. If you put pressure on us in areas of the pitch that we're not used to, Newcastle did it, and Palace do it all the time, Liverpool do it all the time against us. Put pressure on our players that aren't used to being put under pressure. You're more likely to get joy. It's a high risk, high reward game, basically, that you need to play against City if you are to do it. But then again, I do feel the first 20 minutes against City, maybe don't do that. I think what I would expect of United, or what I would do if I was Ten Hag, is to just keep us at bay for 20-25 minutes. Dude, sit deep, play a low block, and just keep us out and frustrate us. Get over that initial shock, because City like to start the game in rapid fashion. We saw it against Villa. Grealish scored straight away. I think it was similar, not Villa, Wolves. Grealish scored straight away. We've seen loads of games where we just catch teams completely off guard, half asleep, and we blitz them, and then they're chasing the game, and it leaves more space for us in behind. If you keep us at bay for 20-25 minutes and then start to creep your way up the pitch and put pressure on us and frustrate us, and time's ticking by and we're going, fuck, we need to score, that's how you get joy, if you ask me. So Ronaldo, you're right, he's not the man to do that, definitely not from the off. But what I would say, if there's 10 minutes to go, we're 1-0 up, or it's 0-0 and they really want a goal, I would throw him on. I'd throw him on the basis that you get spam cross and there's a chance he might get his head on us. That's the only situation I see Ronaldo taking to the pitch tomorrow. He's not the man to play the tactical game required to play against Manchester City. You might be able to play Ronaldo in a fixture like Bournemouth or Fulham, where you will have all the ball, He'll get plenty of chances and he'll probably score one or two just because of his spatial awareness and he knows where to be. But in the games where you don't have all the ball, there's much more leg work required. Ronaldo's not the man, so I don't see it. I think Saeed's right and you're right. A 50% Rashford is much more useful than a 100% Ronaldo, and that's absolutely mental to say. Super City says, I must admit, if we play a super high line tomorrow and camp on the halfway line, I'll be fuming. It's the only tactic that will give them an opportunity. I think we'll still do it. I think we'll still do it. I still think we'll play a high line on the basis that we will throw players forward and we will try to get into our own flow. Like I said, we won't let them dictate the game. We'll keep playing our game regardless of what kind of opportunities they're getting. It's just a matter of us switching on and getting into our defensive shape and covering the right areas when they do get the ball back and get a counter. We never react well to counterattacks against them in the past. I just like to think that we could touch up on that a bit, fix up on that. Curtis says, Bruno as a false nine or Ericsson screams they are setting up defensively. It would do, yeah, because neither of them are notoriously fast, and you just want fast players basically in your front three against City. You want players who put pressure on Kyle Walker, who put pressure on Diaz, Cancelo, and Akanji. That's basically how you do it. We need to play a Champions League style tomorrow, deeper, patient on the ball, and grind them down. What do you think of that, Rebel?
Dead right. This is, we kind of step on Kevin De Bruyne's toes now and again. Now and again. This is a game from where, again, we have to be more patient. You have to be more calm and collected on the ball. You don't need to keep putting Hollywood passes through. And that can go down for any player, but De Bruyne in particular, who likes his Hollywood passes, likes to have them come off of Haaland, needs to take it that little bit slower, in the sense of, realistically, they are going to set up in a deeper style to look to counter-attack. You need to be more methodical on the ball. I think that's definitely the word I'm looking for. You need to be more methodical on the ball, trying to break down this United system. Spamming crosses over the top balls, passing behind against a low block, which, again, we're predicting they're going to play, won't work. It doesn't work because they don't have an awful defence. They've got Rafael Varane, who, especially on merit and on reputation as well, is a very domineering, good centre-half. And Martinez, who Murray said, has had 4 or 5 good games lately. You need to be calm, methodical. And I think, considering how good he was last season against De Bruyne, because he absolutely pissed on them last season, this can be the game for him. This can be this game where he just turns it into, again, we said we didn't get out of third gear against Forest, and that was the best performance of the year. If we put in this performance, get past third gear, De Bruyne puts in a man of the match performance. Fucking Bernardo always plays well against this. It could, that could be the difference between us winning and losing that one performance. We could turn around and hit them for 4 or 5 again if he turns up, because that's just the type of player he is. He needs to just have a little bit of a head shake. You don't need to pull off an unbelievable pass every 10 minutes. Be calm, collected. That's what's going to win the game. I completely agree with that comment. I was gonna go on to it before you even read it. That's the style, the Champions League style has to be played tomorrow. I think that's the way we have to play in all these kind of big games against top 6 opponents, teams who are even going to sit back, and even teams who press you, because if you're calm on teams that end up pressing you, if they press us in the last 20 minutes, you can find those passes in behind. That's what I'm kind of worried about when it comes to the high line too. But you can play in the other way. That's how we play. If I turned around and told you Pep's going to change the system, you'd be fucking fuming. You can't turn around and change the system the week before going into a big game. It's impossible. It doesn't work. That's how we're going to play. It's how we played for, 6 years? 6 years at this point? It's not going to change it for Manchester Derby on the 2nd of October. It's impossible.
It's too late. It's too late in the season to start making crazy decisions and change things up. But on De Bruyne, we just need him to do the basics of football. You all immediately thought of Fabian Delph there when I said that. Don't even lie. We just need De Bruyne to build into the game. Just build into the game. The first half particularly, we don't need any crazy Hollywood balls. We don't need any mad flicks or decisions. Do the easy thing. Always do the easy thing. Hold on to the ball and we'll grind them down. And then when the game opens up a bit in the second half, then you can start trying to play those slightly more ambitious passes. But I think our wingers, I believe, and I genuinely hope, people will disagree with me, I hope it's Grealish and Foden, Grealish on the left, Foden on the right. I really hope it is. I think both of them will play a massive role, because we've all agreed, or we're expecting United to try and press high, at least at some point of the game, maybe after half an hour, 40 minutes, start to press higher and higher as they build confidence themselves in the game. So that will naturally leave our wingers in a bit more of a position that suits them, a one-on-one position, something Jack Grealish rarely sees. You know, if Rashford or if Anthony's tracking back and helping Dalot in a situation against Grealish where it's two of them on Grealish, he's not going to get to be that flary Grealish that we saw a bit against Wolves when there was more space in the pitch. He's going to be more that Grealish that people give out about, where he turns and passes back, or he does the easy ball and he's not being ambitious. But when they start playing higher and their fullbacks, I don't know who'll play on the left, but if it's Dalot on the right, you know, you could see, or will it be Malacia probably on the left? You can see a situation where Foden's left one-on-one with Malacia, or Grealish is left one-on-one with Dalot, and that's what we want. So our wingers need to be on form. Haaland needs to be in his fine finishing form. I have no doubt. I think we might as well talk about Haaland, people, because he's the main talking point tomorrow. He's the man everyone's looking at. Is Haaland going to avenge his father? I know it's a narrative that people are pushing. Let's be real, he's probably not thinking along those lines. For him himself, he's a professional. He's thinking it's not so much it's just another game. He knows it's a big, he knows what it means to the fans, he knows what it means to the club. It's a massive game. It's another 3 points to win. But for him to play well, and for any footballer to play well, it just needs to feel normal for them. He can't play the occasion. You can't be thinking of side stories. He just needs to do his thing. And I think if Haaland goes in with the correct mindset, I genuinely don't see why Haaland can't score at least twice. I really don't. I said that in the Big Six. I think I said it with Saeed, or I've said it on some show, whatever I was on, that if things go the way we need them to go, I can genuinely not see a situation where Haaland doesn't score at least twice. I think Haaland absolutely has Martinez's number. I think Varane is going to have a lot of work to do in helping out Martinez. He just hasn't played against a beast like Haaland. I know people say, oh, but you know, Ajax versus Dortmund. Haaland is a different Haaland now to what he was when he played for Dortmund 2 years ago. He's 2 feet tall, or he's 2 inches taller for a start. He's much more experienced. He's much more developed. He's refined his game a lot more. It's going to be different. And there's also the small matter of the fact that Haaland now has some of the best creative footballers in the world around him, whereas at Dortmund he only really had Marco Reus and Bellingham who could possibly thread him through and put a ball over the top. It's a different game. I just think that's the way it should and hopefully go with Erling Haaland. Joe, he's the man everyone's looking at, and he's the man that, regardless of what United fans and United say publicly, he's the man they're most worried about.
It's the man that everyone's most worried about. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't be worried about this guy. He's got more goals in games in all the competitions. The man scored more goals before he's 22 than Messi and Ronaldo, I'm pretty sure, combined. Like, it's he's the man of the moment, man of the hour. And there is obviously this narrative of avenging his dad that he won't be thinking about. I'm not thinking about it. To be honest, until you mentioned it, that didn't even cross my mind until you mentioned it. So I think that just kind of puts it to where my head is at, that I don't think it really matters, to be honest. I think all he wants to do is score again. That's what this guy's built to do. That's what he wants to do. That's what he loves to do, score. And there is that narrative of Martinez put him in his pocket when he was at Dortmund against Ajax in the Champions League. But you are right. He's different. He's a changed man. He's taller. He's more experienced. He's gone through that period at Dortmund. He now has better players around him where, I mean, we saw against Bournemouth, right, where he had 3 players on him and that just left space for everybody else, anyone who wanted to take up that position to go and do something of their own. Like, De Bruyne scored, Foden had a great game. Like, if they just solely focus on Haaland, we'll have another Bournemouth where, right, well, 2 or 3 of you go and mark that big Norwegian fella and we'll have someone run through in his space instead. Like, you can't just solely focus on one man. I know that is the ideal way to stop him, but that's not how you're going to stop City as a team. You're not going to be able to stop us just by stopping him. I think it more comes down to the supply line. They're going to have to try and cut off his supply because we know he doesn't really get involved, at least at the moment anyway. His game is not getting involved in build-up play. At least not very often anyway. So if you cut off the supply lines, then you can isolate him really, and he's just sat there in the box waiting for the ball. But again, that does create the threat of, if you kind of take your eyes off him and try and stop the supply, if the supply gets through, then you've got no eyes on him. And well, if he's 1-on-1, you're back him to score like 99 times out of 100 when he's 1-on-1. So I mean, I don't know how you stop him. I don't think you stop him. I think you just have to pray that he just has an off day.
With this whole thing that the Reds are pushing, that Martinez pocketed him in 2020, did he actually pocket him, or did they actually watch the game, or did they just see the scoreline and go, oh, Martinez must have pocketed Haaland. Why? Because Haaland didn't hit the back of the net. You didn't pocket a player just because he didn't score. He could still have an impact in the game or your whole... It's a team game as well, people. The other 10 players around Haaland may have had a bad game, and that contributed to the striker not scoring a goal. Pocketing means, if we're being actually honest with ourselves, it means the striker got loads of chances, he got loads of ball, and pretty well every time the defender got the best of him. Just because the striker doesn't score doesn't mean the defender pockets him. It may mean one of many things, is what I'm saying. So don't use the word pocket too heavily, Man United fans, because it might come back to bite you in the arse tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and we'll see who's in whose pocket at that point. But I think you're right that they can't focus too heavily on Haaland, because then you have the small matter of Bernardo, of Foden, of Grealish. And I said a few minutes ago that we need our wingers to have massive games tomorrow in those situations where they're one-on-one, hopefully, with Malacia and Dalot at some points. But if it is a situation where Martinez or Varane or both of them are too consumed with Erling Haaland, and I think it's only natural that at some points of the game they will be very consumed with Haaland, because that's the kind of presence he is in that area of the pitch. We need Grealish and Foden to be able to run in from the flanks, attack the back post, get themselves into goal-scoring positions, and basically fill those spaces that the defenders have left open because they're too busy following the Norwegian around. Haaland's presence is just as valuable as his ability to score. Like, it really is. He's lethal with the ball at his feet and when he pulls the trigger. But his presence alone is absolutely huge to us in creating space and openings for other players. Bernardo or Gundo or whoever plays in that midfield role, the box-to-box kind of role, needs to be able to run into those spaces that Haaland drags defenders out of. Like I said, Grealish and Foden need to be on the back post when there's a ball coming across. We can't waste these opportunities. I will give them credit, United, when they have looked defensively solid. They've looked very defensively solid. Like you look like you can't break them down. I mean, I know Liverpool scored one against them in Old Trafford. Wasn't it 2-1? Am I right?
Yeah, it was a very fluky goal as well. It kind of just bounced to Salah and he headed it in.
Yeah, but for the most part of that game, it looked very much like Liverpool just could not break them down. Malacia played the game of his life. Martinez was also very good. And they've looked like that in a number of other games, but I keep saying this, they've not played a beast like City, and we haven't seen the full beast of City yet. And if the full beast of City turns up tomorrow, I just have full faith it's going to be a long day for Manchester United. But do you kind of get what I'm saying, Rebel, on the Haaland's presence thing and why the wingers and the midfielders... Not so much De Bruyne, because he doesn't really venture into the box as much, but you need Bernardo to exploit those spaces. You need De Bruyne to see those spaces and be able to play the ball through, as long as it's on and it's not Hollywood. And you need Foden and Grealish or Mahrez when he comes on to be alert to those back post opportunities.
You need to, like, again, I have to go back. I have to keep going back to this game we played against him last year in the 4-1. Grealish was fucking outstanding. Mahrez did start that game. If I'm not wrong, Mahrez started that game. He was fine. The fact that I can't remember if he started or not kind of says enough. But Grealish, that day, when he had Bernardo overlapping him, was fucking superb. So good. When he had that level of player going around, having a left footer on the left, someone you can find in the channel, is beautiful. We've said that now for God knows how long about Grealish. If that happens tomorrow, if we play the same style, genuinely, if we just play the same style as we did last year against United, we tanked them. We tanked them. But to go back to what Murray said, those passes in behind, you have to be alert, you have to be a smart, you just need to be intelligent. You need to have a level of intelligence about you to latch onto it. It doesn't have to be Haaland, it doesn't have to be anyone. We've got clinical finishers in that team. We've got high standard level of footballers that can put a ball away, no problem to them. It comes down to, again, breaking down Man United. They've looked defensively solid, especially in that game against Liverpool. A lot of hero ball chance going around, jumping in front of the ball and all that. We hate playing against a team like that. But if we're to prove that we're going to go out and win this league, we're going to go out and challenge for everything else, you have to beat that kind of team. I'd be very, very, not concerned. I wouldn't be concerned. That wouldn't be the word, but I'd be very, very annoyed if we couldn't break down Man United. Because again, Liverpool didn't break them down. Liverpool are finished, right? I'm just going to point out, Liverpool are absolutely finished. I watched them today. I watched the highlights of them today. God knows what's gone wrong with them, right? But United just about held them out for 90 minutes if even. If we're not tearing up if we're not beating them, I'd be so disappointed. Again, we've said it for the whole stream. It comes down to us. If we lose, it's our fault. But if we win, it's because of us. It's because of how good we are.
If we don't win this game tomorrow, We don't deserve to win the league. We really don't.
Yeah.
We don't deserve to win the league. We need, these are the fixtures where we need to show we're superior. And I keep banging on about on the Big Six, and people keep laughing at me about how I feel more confident when we play against the other 5 Big Six clubs than I do against the likes of Palace or Newcastle or Villa and these tough places to go. Because I just feel like we're a big game team. I think we seem to turn up on the big occasion. I know people go, oh, we won the Champions League and Real Madrid. In the Premier League, we turn up 9 times out of 10 when it matters the most, and that's I feel it will happen tomorrow. But if it doesn't happen tomorrow, like at Rebel, we keep saying it'll be our own fault if we lose. Chris Paulson, good to see you, my friend. He says Bernardo field day tomorrow. He reckons stinks of a Bernardo worldie. United are one-dimensional. Joe, do you think United are one-dimensional? I mean, I haven't watched enough of them. I've seen their results. I know who's playing well. I've watched a bit of them, but what's their big asset in their game? Rashford's obviously playing well. They got him back on form, but what's their biggest threat?
Pace by a mile. Like they
are. But then how is that any different to an Ollie United? Why is Ten Hag getting such fucking praise? Because that's all Ollie did. Was just pace and inshallah.
He beat us.
It's not different. I'll tell you what it is, right? I saw, now this was going back a few months, but I can safely say, well, in my mind anyway, I don't think this has changed. Man United played, on average, the lowest defensive line in the entire Premier League. Like, it's no different to Ollie football. They're sitting, they're soaking up pressure, they're playing Rashford through the middle, who's not on typical number 9, so that when they have the ball, they can just break with pace and hurt teams. That's it. They're not blowing teams. Name me a game where they've blown a team away, where they've won 3-4-0 and blown a team away. Can you name it? Like, it's Ollie ball, but oh, look at our manager, he's bald like Pep. Woohoo, yeah, get in. Like, it's no different. I think they've got a better squad than Ollie probably ever had right now. I think with at least by name, on paper, in terms of CVs and ability, he's got a better squad, but he's playing the same way. And I think that's not necessarily his fault. He kind of has to, because he only has sort of half the players he wants. He knows that De Gea can't kick a ball. He knows that he's still got Ronaldo as one of the highest paid players at the club. And he hasn't had a solid holding midfielder. Now he's got Casemiro, but he doesn't really favour him because he keeps playing McTominay. Like, it's one of those where he's got half a team and he's kind of just adapting to the situation. And he knows with the group of players that he's got right now, with the Martials, right? I don't even think he's played yet. Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Bruno Fernandes. They're better when you just let them free ball it. Where you listen, soak up the pressure, go and hit them on the break, do something magical. You can do that. That's how they're winning games, and that's how they used to do it under Ollie. It's no different. But I think it just falls down to the team that he's inherited. I think that he's just playing to the strengths of what he's got, which, fair enough, that might be the best way to get results at Man United right now with the players that they've got. But like, it's still not very different football from what Ollie used to play. It's just that I don't know why. Like, I don't understand. I think people are kind of going, oh, but he's getting results. He beat Liverpool and he beat Arsenal. And yeah, but that's what Ollie used to do. Ollie used to beat us and, give big teams a game. He used to be like an expensive Wolves where they'd go and nab points from the big teams and go and lose to the shit ones at the bottom. It's the same thing. They got battered by Brentford, but went and turned up against top of the league.
Yeah.
The style favours playing against a team that are going to dominate the ball, going to just press them and have that ball for 60-70% of the game, and that's where the pace comes in. Again, you said it, that's where the pace comes in, that they're going to get back up the pitch when the team has the ball. Playing against those big teams really, really favours United, which is why when you ask them to go and control 70% of the game, they completely shit themselves and forget what to do. That's how it's been at United for about, are we saying 5 years?
It's the best part of 7 or 8.
Since Ferguson left, because they haven't been able to kick a ball since. That is how they've gone for, which is for a squad that is worth more than ours, higher transfer fees than ours, is fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they can go out and confidently win a game that they control from start to finish. Because again, they turned up against Arsenal, they beat Arsenal 3-1, and they had about 10% of the ball. They can't go out and dominate a game and beat them.
Arsenal deserve to get something from that game.
Like, it just annoys me how a team put that much money in and, one, not go out and play attractive football, two, not really get results, especially in playing against bottom feeders or lower table teams. They can't, because they can't go out and control the ball for 70 minutes because they just kind of go, well, what's Paulo Bear doing now in Texas? I don't know what I'm meant to be doing here. and they don't know what to do. That's it. They fall apart. But they fall apart when they're put in the driver's seat.
Listen, it's up to us to play our game. It's up to us. But the thing is, on these occasions, you also have to get up for it. And if any of these players can't get up for it tomorrow, they don't deserve to wear the blue shirt. They really don't deserve to wear the blue shirt. We have to be up for it, but also in a controlled fashion. We know United will come in with that extra bit of comfort of not being the favourites. They're not expected to win. They'll be expected to put in a performance, so you best believe they'll play with heart, they'll play with desire, at least until we give them a humble pie, and at least until we put one or two past them. They'll play with determination, and if we don't match that or better that, it can get tricky for us. But listen, I still fully believe that we are going to do the job tomorrow. I still think we'll outplay them. I believe our players will be up for it. I believe the hunger will be there. We'll be aware of the threats they pose. And it just remains to be seen. I think that the talking is kind of done in terms of what we think of this fixture. We just know we are a much, much, much better team. The only way this doesn't go our way is if we don't turn up or we get outdone in terms of determination. Those games that United did beat us, they wanted it more. We didn't look hungry enough, and we allowed those mistakes to happen, and that's why we conceded stupid goals. But if you throw it back to the 4-1 last year, that was just a riot. I know we've had training sessions in the Swamp and in Old Trafford and that kind of thing, but the 4-1 was just a riot. We looked hungry. We knew Liverpool were trying to close the gap on that Premier League on that point, and we needed to play out of our skin. We needed a big 3 points. I think we were possibly just off the back of a bad result at that time as well. So we needed to get back up for it. We needed to make a statement. Both clubs tomorrow will be looking to make a statement. United will want to make a statement to say, listen, we're here to dance to the big boys now. We're on the rise. We're coming back, and this is one of the first big statements in us doing so. And us to make a statement is, we're not falling off. We're not going anywhere. We're not playing at 100%, but we're still the big dogs. We're still the best team in England, and we're not going to allow Arsenal to pick up a hefty lead on us early doors that we're going to have to chase back. So both teams have expectations, very different ones. Both teams will have different motivations going into the game. City obviously chasing a Premier League 5 out of 6. United trying to get themselves back on top, which is obviously a process we're all aware of. It's going to be an interesting one. It's really going to be an interesting one. But like we keep stressing, as long as we stick to our game, we do our thing, the fans make the noise, the players don't play to the occasion, it should be a City win. It should be a City win, with comfort, if you ask me as well. So, listen, before we get into our score predictions, there's about 25 people in the building. Smash the like button if you would. It helps us massively. Great to see so many regular faces coming in here now. Every time we go live, some of you guys are always here, and we massively, massively appreciate that. Honestly, it's great to see this community. Some really cool people coming in to join the chat every stream now. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, share it around. We're on the road to 4K. This 1894 community is going to the top, people. We're trying to grow it. We're trying to get as many people in here as possible, and we're trying to have a bit of fun supporting Pep's Blues. But listen, lads, score predictions. All of you in the chat, get your score predictions in the chat there, and I'll read some of them out, some of the more interesting ones. And as always, we like to predict at least one of the goal scorers in the game. So give us your score prediction and tell us who you think might score a goal. I may as well start because plenty of you have already seen my score prediction on either the Big Six or on my preview I did with Saeed the other day. I said 3-1 City. And the rule on this channel, people, the rule is if you're going to say Haaland, put it in brackets. Say Haaland in brackets. Say Haaland in brackets, and who else you think might score, because Haaland's a cop out. Haaland, you can't say Haaland. We know he's most likely to score, but you can say it just in brackets and then put your real answer beside it with Jack Grealish, obviously. So my answer is my answer is 3-1 City. Haaland in brackets. I think he is going to score at least once. I said I think twice. I'm going to back Grealish. I'm just going to back Grealish. He got a suspension for England. He should be fit. He should be fresh. He should be determined. He played really well against Wolves. It's time for him to kick on and show his minerals. Show what he's doing. 3-1, Grealish goal and Haaland brace for me. People are getting in the chat here. Before I get to you and Joe Rebel in a sec, Andrew says 3-2 City win, I assume, Joe, or Andrew. Chris says stinks of 3-0. Paul, you're stinking a lot of things tonight, man. You're smelling a lot of. You said it stinks of a Bernardo worldie and it stinks of a 3-0. But if you stink a 3-0, Chris, and then it turns out to be a 3-0, I back your nose senses, man. You've got a fantastic nose. Luke, 3-1, Haaland, Grealish, Foden, Kerwin, 11-0. Bit ambitious, Kerwin. Plus, 4-1, Haaland hat-trick, Alvarez.
Everyone.
Alvarez for the other. I'd love to see Alvarez come on and make his statement. This could be a big one for Alvarez. We didn't really touch on him. But if we need to stretch the game in the second half and offer something that's not already there if things aren't going our way, Alvarez is a wild card, man, or not a trump card. He's one that could come on and frighten the lights out of them, and I'd love for him to come on and announce himself in the Premier League. I know he scored against Nottingham Forest, Twice, wasn't it? I'd love for him to just announce himself, say, "This is me. I'm built to play this level. I'm built to play at this club. This is what I'll bring. Be aware. This is what's coming in the future. The Argentinian Sergio 2.0. This is what it is." Russell Haaland, Alvarez for the other. Chris says Haaland brace and Bernardo Silva goal. Like we said, it's massively important that Bernardo, Grealish, and Foden exploit the areas that Haaland will essentially vacate by dragging defenders around. Curtis 2-1 City, Haaland and Cancelo. Stacey says 3-1 City, Haaland in brackets. Thank you for following the rules, Stacey. I appreciate that. Alvarez and De Bruyne. Couple of shouts for Alvarez, people, and I back it. I back Alvarez if he gets 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I believe he can score. Benji 3-2. They're gonna lead because that how we play. Then we make a comeback. Haaland 1. Rodri and Foden. Rodri's a big shout. Got a decent sniffer, I'd say. Chris says, yeah, man, Chris, your nose seems to be doing bits. Andy 3-1 City, Haaland brace. Alvarez is sick, no lie. And then Kerwin says 11-0, Haaland with 5, Alvarez with 2, Silva with 2, and De Bruyne with 2. I'm not even sure if that maths is accurate, but listen,
one of you can't count, basically, is what you're saying. One of the two of you cannot count.
Yeah, well, listen, if it's 11-0, we're all laughing. It should have been 12. It should have been 12. But there's the score predictions. I said 3-1. Joe, may as well go next. What's your prediction? And who's going to bag? Who's going to stand up and stick it into those red bastards tomorrow?
3-0 because I am actually even though I chatted shit about the defence for like 10 minutes, I'm still confident we can keep a clean sheet. So 3-0, and I'm going to go for... Who am I going to go for? I want to say Haaland. I want to say no. Fuck off. Hey,
sit down. You're fucking doing.
I'm gonna go against my morals and go for. I'm gonna go against my morals and go for a De Bruyne goal.
This man's
You're a robber. Do you know that? You're a robber.
Shush. Hey,
dickhead. But yeah, I think he might be trying to get a greatest thing in.
I'm manifesting a Grealish goal, people. I'm manifesting a Grealish goal.
I'm gonna go with amalgam of the two years. Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1 because again they scored against us last season with that fucking shit team, right? When they played 2 false nines with Pogba playing on one knee, they still scored. So I will say they'll score, but I think I'm gonna go 3-1. I go with 3-1, but you said a De Bruyne goal. I'm going to say De Bruyne in brackets, 2 goals. I think the man is going to turn up tomorrow. I think he's going to shit all over these swamp-ridden bastards. 3-1, Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne, man of the match performance. And, yeah, normal service is resumed.
Super City says Walker overhead kick from 35 yards. Save this. Save this.
Pinned, liked, commented, shared.
Benji, I don't know why Pep doesn't trust Alvarez. I think he does trust Alvarez. He's just trying to use him wisely and when we need him. Curtis, Cancelo scores goals. My shout, I'm backing him fully. Cancelo is always a goal threat. I don't see why he can't score. Chris says big up Joe. Andy, I can see a few ollies coming. I'm not sure what an ollie is. Would love a Jack goal. Chris says, I think there's a Jack goal coming. I always think there's a Jack goal coming, but I predicted it against Wolves and it was accurate. Super City, I think you should combine your scores.
You predicted it in the 37 of the game.
Shush. Super City says, I think you should combine your scores. It will be 9-2. Cancelo will score a 40-yard Travella. Yeah, okay, Kerwin, your maths is accurate. Anyway, 3-1 from me and Rebel, 3-0 from Joe. I predicted a Grealish goal, a couple of other predictions there for goals. Basically, we're all predicting City to win and in fairly comfortable fashion, although Joe has a bit more faith in our defence. But listen, it's massive tomorrow, people. It's absolutely massive. It's the first real test of the season, if we're being real. I think Spurs would have been the first real test of the season had that gone ahead, but it didn't. So this is it. The Manchester Derby, a new look Manchester United, so they keep saying Ten Hag's new tricky Reds, whatever it is they're calling them. It's our first test, and it's up to us to stand up. We're going to get a real insight as to what the minerals of our team looks like and how Haaland stands up in these situations, how Akanji looks, if he will most likely play, but how he looks in these situations. You know, Saeed said there's a massive mistake in Akanji, and he knows a bit more about Akanji than I do, and he says there's mistakes in him. So it'll be interesting to see what this looks like. A lot of things to look out for. Absolutely massive game. This is the big one, people. This is the fixture we all look out for when the fixtures get released. I'm going over to it. I'm flying tomorrow at 10:30. God help me, I hate waking up early. I really, really hate waking up early, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done for the Blues. So listen, we will see you on probably Tuesday night with a review, because I'm doing the Big Six on Monday night, so I'll do a review there, obviously, if you want to see what I'm saying firsthand. But for those of you who don't watch the Big Six, come back to us on Tuesday night. I might see, can I get a guest, or if not, it'll be myself, Joe, and Dara as usual, and we'll review the game. I'm nervous, people. I'm getting nervous. I'm watching the time and I'm thinking, how many hours is it to kick off? How many hours is it till I go to the airport to get on my plane to Manchester? These games get me nervous, regardless how good we are, regardless how bad or good they are. I'm always nervous for this game. I really am. But listen, to all of you, there's 25 of you still left. If you would like the stream on your way out, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We massively appreciate all of you. It's great to see, like I said, I keep saying this, some of the same faces coming back and getting involved in the chat. It really is great to see you guys are showing love to our channel. It's a great little community we have here. People saying safe flight, people saying enjoy the game. Listen, all of you enjoy the game. These are the days we live for as football fans and as City fans. We want to stick it into these bastards tomorrow afternoon, and hope that is to be the case. Thank you all again for coming, and we will see you Tuesday, hopefully, as once again Kings of Manchester. Wrap her up, Joe. Good night and God bless.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand, 'cause you are